Good morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us exploring, get us wondering, get us connected, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. Our topic today is the choral connection in building community, joy, and perhaps change. Hosting with me today is Rick Bernardo, and his guest is Libby McLaren, a musician. She is a singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, performer, and music teacher. And a quote that I found on her website that I just love, she is a creative force with a gentle touch. Rick, tell us a little bit about how you met Libby.
Well, I met this gentle creative force years ago. I'm dating myself, but somebody has to. As Libby McLaren and myself, and there was Joyce Cooling on the venue at Golden Gate Park's Bandshell. This was arranged by our friend Alan Clausen, who was working with City Celebration in San Francisco. And somehow he said, could you guys just do this afternoon in the park? And
just do it.
And I don't know if I talked to Libby after that, but we spent about an hour on and off stage and just kind of hanging out a little bit. And I just remembered her the other week, and I go on the web and it's like, oh, she's been busy. She was already busy at the time. And it's just a wonderful part. I thought something in my heart and gut said, reach out and see if she could be on the show, because she still seems wonderful.
And she is. We had a chance to talk with you. Libby, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I also loved another quote on your website. Libby's passion for music is infectious, her approach is immersive, and her knowledge is impressive. Whether you're wanting to learn to sing, play, or find out more about life and music, you've come to the right place when you go to her website. And I want to mention Libby's website. It's Libby McLaren, McLaren.com. And it's a fun website. You can explore all sorts of cool things.
Thank you.
So, Libby, you are a fourth-generation Californian, and you were in your first band at age 19 was Night Flight, a Latin jazz fusion band. Tell us about that.
Oh, that was such a great band. We were all kids. We were practicing in the basement of a house we all lived in, and communal, life. I was a teenager, for God's sake.
Uh-huh.
Latin jazz. It was a great band. Steve Gabori was the person who started it. He's a really well-established musician, piano player, arranger, etc. In New York right now. And he started it with this great idea to have it be like the Miles Davis band, who had these two horns up front, and Steve instead wanted to have two singers up front. And it was all original music. It was super creative, Latin jazz. We lived in Berkeley, California. We stayed there for a year and a half, maybe. Then we moved to New York and had some wonderful instant success. It was a wonderful band.
And you were
great way to start my career.
You were signed right away to the DRP Records.
Yeah, like that. And we did shows, and it was quite a thing. It was really fun. It was a great way to get established in New York, also.
And with that, you started branching out to some other musical styles that intrigued you. Tell us about that too.
Well, New York, what a great place. And it was 1977 that we moved there, and it was a wonderful time. And New York itself was a little shady, a little bit,
But I remember visiting my friends in that year. It
was a little shady.
Traveling was amusing.
The creative musical community was really, really receptive and open. I started doing choral work at that point. I joined a really excellent choral ensemble. And then, I started doing sessions and, reading scripts, reading through music for things that were happening on Broadway. And, it was incredible. I joined a wonderful band called The Longhouse. Lisa Herman did that band, and that band featured 6 backup singers. And so we really, the choral sound, is really important to me. And I really love having multiple singers singing all these different parts. I became an arranger. I do a lot of arranging and working with groups, all through my career. I understand it. It makes sense to me, and I love it. So anyway, we all branched out into different things from that band, and that band then unfortunately broke up. But we're all still super close friends, and yeah, it's cool band.
And so in the 80s, you did all sorts of cool things too, with the Beat Girls and the Roaches.
Yeah, right. So in the 80s, I joined. It was actually called the B Beat.
That's
Girls.
right, the B Beat.
Turns out there was an A Beat and there was a B Beat in the disco world. And yes, I absolutely was a disco singer, a crazy. We wrote one song. And we had a producer who had great connections. And about a week after we had just kind of written the song and given it to this guy, I turned on the radio, and there it was on the radio.
Oh my gosh.
So this was 1983, which was the height of disco, in my view. I mean, disco still very much exists. Maybe not in America, but certainly in Europe and Eastern Europe especially. And so that song became a thing. We got to be number 2 on the disco chart, on the Billboard disco chart. And it was also 1983, which is when the AIDS epidemic began. Oh, yeah. Or sorry, did not begin, but was really
realized. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a very intense time because all the studios were packed and everyone was kind of saying, nah, it's not really a thing. And, it's just the flu or it's just this or that. And it was a sad thing through that summer of 1983 to watch. A lot of the grand population of Studio 54 and all the big discos in New York, they all started to have less people coming in. But nonetheless, we did this big thing. It lasted for a summer. We got driven in limousines to all sorts of places, Atlantic City, and go up to Connecticut. And it was like, it was crazy. We'd go and we would do 2 songs, and we'd arrive at midnight. We'd go on at like 3 a.m., get home around 7 or 8 in the morning. It was a lifestyle that was fine for one summer. And after that, I was like, okay, that's enough of that.
It's fine for one
summer. Then I was
summer.
very, very lucky and got hired by the sister singing group called the Roaches.
Right.
And that was something that really changed my whole kind of career, being out with them on the road for so many years and doing all these fancy shows, Johnny Carson and all of that. And we toured for 5 years, and there was never not a sold out show. Never.
Wow.
They were amazing, and they were just an amazing mix of creativity, somewhat. I don't know. There's nothing like it, So, and I did meet you right in the middle or after, or towards the end of that, maybe, right?
That's exactly right. I was in California. I was kind of being bicoastal. I had grown up here, as I said, and so I was kind of thinking, maybe I'll move back to California. So I was here, and I was actually working with a singer when you and I met. I was accompanying a singer named Gail Marie. And she and I were kind of doing a little bit of a duo thing. And I think it was her connection that got us that gig, the City Celebrations gig.
Yeah.
I think it was because of Gail Marie. Anyway, that was a fun thing because, Golden Gate Park is such an iconically beautiful place in San Francisco.
And it's outdoors, and it was just a wonderful setting.
Right. Really, it was. I remember it just being a super fun day. Yeah.
Well, you said that you were bi-coastal, but by 86, you then moved back to California, right?
Well, I did. I was still on the road with the Roaches, and because I thought I would be on the road for a long, long time, which ended up not actually being true. But I thought, well, why not? I mean, who cares where I live? My parents were here, and so I thought, New York is a very intense place to live, and I could be out here in California, and life could be a little bit easier. So I moved back here, and then I had the good fortune of being hired by a person named Robin Flower to come in and arrange some vocals on an album. And I was like, Robin Flower, like I've heard of her. Like,
yeah, I remember.
I was a little starstruck, and I remember going over to her house, and we just like clicked immediately. Like we just got right down to work and got the arranging done and figured out what to do, and all the while laughing and having a great time. And over a period of time, we fell in love and we're life partners as well as we've been doing music since then. I mean, it took a little minute for all that to happen. It didn't happen immediately, but
that's a wonderful transition to. We have a piece of music from the recent 1+1 album CD that Libby McLaren and Robin Flower have both created, and we're just going to hear about a little over a minute of this unique instrumental called Lightning Bugs. You want to say anything about it? We'll also hear the ending of the song when we come back. So everybody be ready for Lightning Bugs.
Imagine yourself pulling off the side of the road when you're on tour, and you open the door and you're just like, the sky is filled with stars and there's a big meadow out there. You don't really know where you are, and you start to see these lightning bugs start to show up.
I love it. And it does remind me of that. That's just magical.
Okay, thank you. Lightning Bugs. Is there a little more? Lightning Bugs.
Oh, welcome back to Connections Radio
There's
Show.
another one.
There we are. Yes, we are.
There's one. There was one more.
Yes. What you've been listening to is some beautiful music by Libby McLaren, who is our guest today. She is a musician, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, performer, and music teacher. And the theme of our show is the choral connection in building community, joy, and perhaps change. And hosting with me today is Rick Bernardo, and this is his guest. Tell us a little bit about Libby.
And Libby, that was her song Lightning Bugs from 1+1, the album, the most recent album with Robin Flower. And I met Libby years ago in Golden Gate Park as we were on and off stage there, as she was in the middle of working with the Roaches, and I had heard about her, but I hadn't met her, and I just had a wonderful memory, and here she is.
Welcome, Libby. We're glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So let's go back to your time in New York, and you're exploring more choral music. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I fell in just so organically with a group of singers that became that we were welcomed into an already established choral group called the Euterpian Choral Ensemble. Euterp is the angel of singing. I know it's it's one of those mythological names.
I love that.
And it was cool. It was a 16 voice chorus, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And I was an alto, always will be. And it was a wonderful ensemble of singers, really, really high level singers. And I had never been in a group of singers who could just sight read music and know how to sing and be able to follow a director so easily, so comfortably. And those people are still my dear friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, not all 16 of them, but maybe about 10 of them. I was just in New York last week, and all of us got together. It was a memorial situation, and we all got together to sing at this memorial. And it was amazing to come back after many decades and everyone still sing together. And I think a lot of that is the choral community that you mentioned, Lori, is something that's more than just literally the people in sitting in the chairs who are singing, that community of singers. It's a community of like-minded hearts. We have similar musical tastes. We're able to absorb the different genres of music that are being required by that particular choral singing situation. And when I say choral, I mean like sometimes two or more. Certainly backup singers, I call that a choral situation. Anytime you see three people singing backup, they're a chorus and they're making a choral sound. I tend to like, the 16 and 20 voice or the 200 or 300 voice, but it's a commonality that choral singers have, which is our hearts open and are willing to kind of intimately engage with one another. And you become way bigger than the sum of the parts. I mean, you become this huge thing where we all our mouths work the same way and all our jaws drop the same way and all our pronunciations are the same way. And you sing all these different languages, Latin and French and Italian and German and, English, God forbid. And it's just, you have this way of approaching a song, and it lasts, I believe it lasts for a lifetime. You think people in church have that feeling, or, anybody who's lucky enough to sing backup or in choral things. It's a beautiful, it's a beautiful thing to have fallen into, and I really am grateful for those years.
There's been studies, you've probably seen it, literally heartbeats in a chorus, in a choral situation, they start to synchronize. Mm-hmm. It's such a rooted thing. And my parents were in radio, and my dad would always tell us as kids that there's nothing as powerful and significant as the human voice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. From just my own experience and just singing with someone, there's something that happens that goes beyond the song. It's a sensing into each other that is amplified when you have musicians that are singing together. That I think not only are the singers in sync, but something happens to the community that's listening as well. Our hearts open and connect. It touches us in ways that I don't think we can always explain because music has that. It's beyond words.
Right. That's really well said. When people say, well, describe it, it's like, yeah, you'd have to kind of be there.
Yes. But people have been there, but they don't take the moment to take it in. Mm-hmm. And I think what choral does is allows you to feel like you are greater than yourself, but yourself has a voice, and it contributes. And I think sometimes in our society we don't feel like we have that contribution, and we've become more isolated. And I would wish for everyone that's hearing this today to think about, singing with someone. What does that like? How can we do more of that?
Well, to that point, like, man, the pandemic really messed it up.
Yeah.
Really, really messed it up. I had been directing a community choir, a women's community choir for 22 years. And I mean, 30 people, a lot of people wanting to sing. And pandemic came along, and of course everybody stopped their choruses, and a lot of choruses have begun. I didn't come back to mine because I'm still concerned about people getting sick. I taught at a camp in August this year, and I had never had COVID. I was a no-vid, very proud of my no-vid status. And I came home with COVID because I was one of the singing teachers there. We sang a lot in rooms. I mean, we sang hours every day, going through the class and all that. And ultimately I came home with COVID, and it's like, it really made me realize, oh man, you got to be so careful.
Yeah.
Like, you can't risk getting somebody who's old or has underlying problems. Like, you got to be careful anyway.
Well, with that, though, the harmony is a great way to still sing in harmony. And tell us about how you've explored and created something for folks to think about with harmony.
Well, harmony is one of my favorite things. Harmony is two people, me and Celia Ramsey. And Celia lives in Napa, California, but she lived in Berkeley for a long time, for many years. And we were talking about something one day. I can't even remember apropos of what. And I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to make a how to sing harmony CD. And she's like, I did too. So we started mapping it out. We went in the studio. We created a 3 CD set. First one's beginner, second one's intermediate, third one's advanced. basically teaching you, if you really want to learn how to harmonize, like this is how you do it. And we give you all these different keys, and here's the melody, and here's the harmony, and here's the high part, here's the low part. We have all these PDFs that are available on the websites, and it's really cool. And we do workshops, and lots of people come to the workshops, and so it's a thing. Well, then comes the pandemic, and I'm on a Zoom, just visiting with her on a Zoom call with Celia, and she's like, we could do a video. And I'm like, video, because then we could do it at home during the pandemic. So yep. I would create my segment. She'd create her segment. She's really tech savvy, but God bless her. And so she'd put it together. And so those first, if you go to the website, or if you go to Celia and Libby's Excellent Harmony Singing Lessons, oh, what a name. If you go there, it's a YouTube channel. It's free. You can go and you can just learn how to sing on all our videos. And the first several were, you can see they're split screens because we were off, I was in Oakland and she was in Napa, California. But then as the pandemic kind of went on and we started getting bored with that, we would be at her house and we would have the windows open and the doors open, and I'd be on one side, she'd be on the other side. And so we could at least be in person and do this. And then ultimately, as the pandemic wore down, we finally were face to face and in that. But it's a funny set of videos because it starts out in the throes of the pandemic. But the point isn't the pandemic. The point is that it's a really great way to learn how to do harmony singing, and we're funny and we're charming.
And there are harmonies on this next piece of music. We want to hear from your CD with Robin Flower called 1+1. This is called When the Congregation. And we'll talk about it when we come back. We want to hear just a little bit of this and then a little more when we come back from this album. Is that all right, Libby?
Yes, thank
right.
you.
When the Congregation with harmonies.
This choir enters precisely on the consonant, the way a wooden stick hits a snare, and they find the long precisely on the consonant when the congregation comes
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter and sometimes listen to amazing music. Our topic today is the choral connection in building community, joy, and perhaps change. And that piece of music did exactly that, bringing joy and a sense of community and looking for a way that we can continue to connect. And we have Rick Bernardo as my co-host today, and his guest is Libby McLaren, and she is a musician, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, performer, and music teacher. Welcome, Libby. We're glad you're here.
And thank you. Thank you so much.
And Libby, I want to ask you more about how that song came to be, but I'm still shaking off the chills, which is not a bad thing to do, from that song. And I'm reminded again, we were talking about choral singing before and voices together, and I'm also reminded how when I taught ethics for many years at the university, we would talk about language, which is a lot of what teaching and learning is about. But music is not it's not representational. We don't have a word that stands for something. It's got its own thing. It's its own language. And we're born out of the womb knowing the difference between a different beat, a different cadence, a different tone, a different note. It's its own thing, and it's just so cool. And in that song, we hear a lot of different meanings that you mentioned before. We can't even put it in words exactly, but sometimes we add words. So tell me more about that song.
So I have a writing partner friend who lives in New Jersey, who is also a poet, named Marcia Pelletier. She's a really cool poet. She has published a couple of books of poetry, and she this would maybe be 15 years ago, a lot of years ago. She sent around maybe to 30 of her musician friends about 50 of her poems, and said, yeah, look through these, see what you think. If there's one that catches your attention and you feel like writing a song to, I'm going to put together a double CD, or theoretically a double CD if enough people jump in, and you will write the music and you will sing the song and you will record it and you will take care of the whole thing and you'll send me the finished product. And so like 30 of us were like, okay, cool. And so everybody kind of like, I remember thinking, oh, I want that one about the congregation. I hope no one else took it. And luckily I snuck in first on claiming dibs on that one. And so the double CD is called Little Noises, and it's a group of New York musicians and singers and songwriters, and we all wrote songs. So I had those words came from Marcia, and I just kind of sat down, over the course of a few days and wrote the song, and then realized that it being a congregation, we needed to have multiple harmonies. And so I just arranged all those harmonies like, well, let's just do them like crazy. So what we just heard was Robin and me from our CD 1+1 doing that. But the original was from way back in, I don't know, 2000 and something. I mean, I know now it's 2000 and something, but time is like,
it was before that.
10 or 15 or even possibly more years than that. And I wrote the song and did everything she wanted and sent it to her, thinking, well, this is going to be a cool project, never realizing the quality of musicians that she was going to have on this thing. I mean, like it's a star-studded CD, and I'm super proud to be part of it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's how that comes. And even though I wrote it so long ago, it's still one of the songs that Robin and I do in our show. I mean, it has stood the test of time. It's cool.
And we
love singing it.
And you mentioned Robin. Robin Flower is your musical collaborator and life partner. And we talked a little bit about that in the first segment. And you began a lifelong musical journey together and continuing, successfully and joyfully creating music together.
Yeah. Yeah, we have about maybe 7 CDs, maybe 7 or 8 CDs. And, we're always in the process of writing new stuff. And, pandemic kind of screwed that up. Everybody stopped performing, and then, kind of starting the engine again was like, we need to get AAA out here to jumpstart the battery. It was a little intense.
Have you found the music changed at all after the pandemic? Have you found that you've taken on a different texture at all?
Lori, that is a really good question. Yes. How exactly? I'm not sure. I think there's a certain acknowledgement that, wow, like this whole thing, life as we know it, might have gone down a really different road. And it did go down a different road for millions on Earth. And I think there's a certain humbleness that I'm grabbing at straws for a word here, but I think there's a certain humility that came post-pandemic. We all realized that we easily could have been one of the millions of people who died. And the absolute joy of having lived. I mean, remember those first days when the vaccines came out and everybody was like, oh my God, I can hug you. Oh my God, I can have people over. Oh my God, we can have wine together instead of just outside. Like you can come in my house. I mean, it was quite a heady feeling. And I think that has translated into a lot of us musicians, a lot of artists have talked about that. Like, ever since the pandemic, I feel super inspired and super driven to create and like all this, like, what if it went away again? It's like, I wouldn't want that to happen. So yeah, that's a great question. I think, yeah, it has changed.
Well, I also think that there grew a hunger during that period of isolation, and that there's a deeper satisfaction, especially in like the choral music, especially when there's harmony. We're still seeking, I think, that harmony. I don't think we quite come out of the shell-shocked alienation that occurred, and we're still, I think, kind of finding our way back. But when we hear music that comes together, when we hear the choral, when we hear that contributions can be made and connect with each other, I think there's something that's very healing about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I remember leaving my apartment at the end of the day during the early days of the pandemic, just to sit on the sidewalk and watching people from a distance, because that's all that was safe. And now, after a while, it was like I could talk to somebody and maybe not even die.
Yeah.
Now, in getting back out, are you doing stuff again with like contra dance musicians and workshops and writers? Tell us about all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, contra dancing. We do the occasional contra dance. I mean, Robin's a fiddle, guitar, mandolin player, so she generally plays fiddle on those things, and I bring a keyboard, and we just go out as a duo. And we have loads of friends who are callers, and this area around here has loads of contra dancing, and so. My friend Celia Ramsey, she calls, and she's a great caller. And so we all, we're kind of an adjunct to that community. We're definitely not in the heart of it, but we do that. The Harmony, we do workshops, tons of those workshops. Teaching at camps, of course, that returned, which was wonderful. Robin and I both teach at camps. I love theory, so I teach theory at camps, and I teach, stagecraft and singing and harmony and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, definitely getting out there, definitely doing shows, definitely, leaning into embracing the in-person thing. For me, the main thing that's missing in my life is the choral work that I do here at home. I work with different groups. I work with like 4 people who come over who are in a band, and I'll arrange stuff for them, but it's not the same as like conducting a whole choral ensemble or being in a choral ensemble. Last week I was in New York City, and a whole lot of us got together and we all sang together again, like I was mentioning before. And it, that was like, oh my God, how much I have missed this.
It ignites something in you.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to promote your other website. We promoted the Libby McLaren, which is McLaren, but you can also find it on Flower and McLaren. .com. And there's cross-referencing between the two, but we just want to make sure that you check out that website as well. And there's a song coming up that Rick's going to tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, and there's a discography page on those websites, by the way, where you can go and get these songs from the 1+1 album, which is the most recent one from Robin Flower and our guest Libby McLaren. This song next is County Down, and it's such echoes of roots in Celtic and country music.
I listened to it like 3 times this morning before the show. I just kept listening to it over and over. I absolutely adore it.
We'll hear a little of this as we go to the next segment, and then we'll hear towards the end of it again when we come back. This is County Down.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me? As you roam through lonely London town, when evening's falling, you'll hear me calling, come on home now to the county down. Do you remember? And young ones needed again in New I still need you the most of all. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me as you roam through lonely London town? When evening's falling, you'll hear me calling. Come on home now to the county down. Come on home now to the county down.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. And our topic today is the choral connection in building community, joy, and perhaps change. Hosting with me is Rick Bernardo, and his guest is Libby McLaren. And Libby, thank you for that song. That is so beautiful.
Thank you.
And it just rings in me of connection. You know, it rings in me of like, you know, can you hear me? And
Oh,
it is about hearing the voice that is not there, but that's always with you.
right. That song was written by the most fabulous, wonderful, incredibly fabulous person, Tommy Sands, from the Sands family in Ireland. You know, that they're like the royalty of
Wow.
folk singing. And yeah, so we met. We were in Ireland, and we met Tommy and his wife, and had a lovely tea with them, of course, as one does. And and then we had heard that song, and I thought, oh God, I would love to sing that song. So yes, I would like to have written that song also. But we do it, and it's so Irish and so evocative of Ireland, and that longing.
Yes. And you were sharing with me earlier before our show about the crossroads in Ireland. Tell me about that again.
Oh, well, yeah, a lot of, you had mentioned, you know, oh, it's so great when community comes together and like sits around a fire, and, you know, you have people coming in. Well, in the old days in Ireland, people would gather at the crossroads. Literally one road would cross another, and they'd meet at those corners, and like a fiddle player would show up, or a flute, or whatever, and people would come and they would dance, and they would have kind of like the official contra dancing, the original contra dancing, and they would do things, and they'd sit there for maybe the evening, or, you know, for an hour here and there, and then everyone would kind of split off in their four directions and go back to their homes. But it's such a poignant image of coming together at the crossroads.
Yes.
In other words, there are no cars coming. You don't have to worry about, you know, and a fiddle player shows up, and now, or an accordion player shows up, and there you go, and you've got to dance for as long as it lasts, and then everybody goes back home. I mean, what a great image. Whoa.
Well, and it's a great metaphor of hope to me. You know, what can it take for us to all meet at that crossroads, right? What can we do to bring what we have and meet with others on the other side of that crossroad? And it feels like we're at such a crossroads right now that needs to be filled with hope, that needs to be filled with dancing, that needs to be, turn the page. Let's come back together. And I think part of it was the whole pandemic, and we're still reeling from it. But the image of meeting at a crossroad and singing and dancing and listening to music, how beautiful is that?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And there's another reason we have people like you, Libby, on our program, is because we've heard a number of times on our programs and our broadcasts how music is not only a primal language, but it connects us in so many deep and wide ways. And it's hard to sing or be part of music or share food with somebody or laugh with somebody without being in love.
Mm-hmm. And sharing that love and joy. Well, I want to make sure that we promote your website again, Libby McLaren, McLaren.com. You have all kinds of beautiful music that's for sale, and I'm going to have Rick share about how to get to that.
LibbyMcLaren.com, and there's also flowerandmclaren.com website. There are discography pages. Just look at the top of each page, click on it, and there's a list of your CDs, which is there's such a body of work since Libby and I first met decades ago. Do you want to say anything more about that discography and how that works?
No, it works great.
Okay. Okay.
We have a great website situation, so we could just, you place an order and then I send it to you.
Okay. All right. Simple.
I just wanted to make sure that audience knows that by supporting musicians, you're really, supporting art and you're supporting the future. And the future of good music continuing. So we hope that you'll take some time to not only explore that beautiful website, but listen. What's nice also about that discography is that you can listen to some of the songs and get kind of a taste. But it's just wonderful music that does bring joy and that does open your heart. So with that, are there any, closing comments that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yes. I always like to end by saying, if playing music interests you, find a teacher. Go do it. There's no time like right now. Music will fill your heart, will relax your brain, and will fill your house with music. And it's a wonderful challenge. It's great for your brain, especially as we get older. It's a great thing to do for your brain. And if you're a person who's don't really want to play music, but you want to support music, go out, support your local musicians, go to the shows, bring your friends to shows, buy the CDs, support musicians. Everybody needs supporting. I get it, but sometimes musicians get a little lost in the shuffle. So I really encourage that. And I also thank you, Lori and Rick, for this show, for what you bring to the beautiful state of Minnesota. And what a beautiful state that is. Yeah. And just for being, for putting yourself out there and for bringing people like me in to be able to share my stories with your listeners. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. You bring us joy. And each musician that we've brought on has given us another perspective and another heart opening. And what I want to encourage, especially during this stressful time of our elections, is to listen to music and to open your heart to that music and to hope and to change and to bringing the world together again.
And there's a deep brilliance, I would suggest, within and among all of us that has to do with music. And so just look for it. It's such an important part of any healthy soul and culture. Joe Thomas was a jazz musician. Music is prayer with wings, and it's a vital language. So thanks, Libby, for being with us here.
Sure.
And also thank you for all the great things that you're doing out in the community. It's great fun, and you're out there doing stuff. I loved some of the work that you did to help support the state parks and making a change. So thank you for all that.
Values. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll look forward to having you all join us next week here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, on Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas and songs that matter.
Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a delicious dinner, and live music from both big-name local and national artists in a wide array of styles. Before or after your show, check out the new Maggie's Lounge, a perfect...
Hey, Libby, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you so much, you guys.
Yeah, that was fun. That
was great.
A delight and joy to have you with us.
A delight and joy. Yeah. So have a great rest of your weekend, you guys. Good luck with the election.
Yeah.
And Rick, it's been a complete pleasure. Thank you so much for all of this.
I will be sending out an email